Well, it's to no one's surprise that last 2020 seasonal anime were a little lackluster and disappointing to say the least. Now, obviously, they weren't all bad. We got shows like Rent a Girlfriend, Tonikawa, and others that weren't bad, but definitely not the greatest. And the shows that I was most excited for and enjoyed were mainly second seasons to an already prior anime. I mean, just look at what we got in 2020. We had Haikyuu to the Top and Haikyuu to the Top Part 2, Love is War Season 2, Fruits Basket Season 2, ReZero Season 2, and the final season of World Fire Force Season 2, and yeah, you get my point. 2020 was basically carried by anime with second seasons. Now, I obviously have not watched every anime that came out in 2020, and I don't think anyone has, but if you disagree with my statement, feel free to let me know in the comments on why I'm wrong. But in my personal opinion, there were very few anime that I thoroughly enjoyed. That being said, one show in particular has taken over the anime community by storm and claimed 2020 as its year. The anime that I'm talking about is Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't even know where to start with this anime, from the breathtaking animation to its very familiar old school shonen feel. Jujutsu Kaisen does an amazing job at combining both the old and new styles of writing we've seen in other anime. I don't know why, but nowadays for some reason it's just so difficult for people to accept that something is good, especially when it's popular. And if you don't have some sort of five-head philosophical critique about the show, then you're just some normie who doesn't understand what good writing is. Not to say that giving a show fair critique is bad, but when you're just blatantly hating on it with no real reason and just call it overrated, it not only takes away the hard work that people put into animating this incredible show, but also derives people from even giving it a chance. I think the reason why some people like to give Jujutsu Kaisen a lot of crap is because it's another battle shonen anime, which they're not at all wrong about, but just because a show has a similar format to other series, you shouldn't just instantly disregard it and call it a ripoff of another anime. One of the reasons why I love the show so much is that it's not afraid to wear its influences on its sleeve. It embraces its shonen persona while also bringing in its own charm and charisma into the fray. A similar anime that experienced the same kind of massive blow up a year prior was Demon Slayer. You'll notice that both these shows have a very easy to understand premise and don't try too hard at being different. Instead, they do things that we may have seen in other anime, but then polish these influences and then execute them really well. Both anime use their normality to lure you in and then quickly trap you into their own unique premise, whatever that may be. I could go on and look at the deeper layers and themes of the anime and go super in depth on why the show is so great, but that's boring and it's too much work for my tiny brain, so I'm going to just go on a surface level rant and give you my thoughts on why the show is worth watching. Okay, now with that gigantic intro out of the way, let's get into the video. Now, to get us started, you cannot simply talk about an anime unless you talk about its opening as well, and Jujutsu Kaisen's opening is a straight banger. I could tell the people making the anime knew exactly what they were doing as soon as I heard that Eve would be making the song. This to me was definitely opening of the year, but I can totally see why Beastar's amazingly creative stop motion opening won as well. The song has an incredibly catchy hook and the shots and animation we see throughout it are phenomenal. The kind of dark and modern theme we see in this OP quickly and effectively introduces us to the setting we're getting put into, and the lighting and shadows throughout it are also so well done. Awesome animation, catchy as hell, and fast-paced song. I mean, what is there not to love about this opening? As I mentioned in the intro, the premise for this anime is very straightforward and easy to understand. You follow a high school dude named Itadori Yuji, who is your typical run-of-the-mill teenager, with the exception of having superhuman strength, of course, because if you did forget, this is anime. Anyway, in this world there are curses. Curses are a race of spiritual beings manifested from cursed energy as a result of the negative emotions that flow out of humans. They bring harm to humanity and are the primary targets of Jujutsu sorcerers. One day, two of Itadori's friends who were in the same club as him find a cursed object and decide that they want to open it, so they take it back to school and find out what it is. While this is going on, at the hospital, Itadori runs into Megumi, a Jujutsu sorcerer. He informs Itadori about the dangers that the cursed object could bring about to his friends, so Itadori and Megumi then head to school. Shit goes down, a fight breaks out, and in an attempt to become stronger so that he can beat the curse, Itadori swallows the cursed object, which turns out to be a finger belonging to the demon Sukuna, the king of curses. More shit goes down, and after the battle, Itadori is basically left with two choices: be killed by the Jujutsu sorcerers, or find and collect all 20 fingers, and then be killed by the Jujutsu sorcerers. So yeah, he doesn't really have a lot of options. Now, that was a super vague and pretty bad summary of the story, but because I'm lazy and don't want to rewrite the script for this video, just watch the first 2 episodes and you'll get the gist of it. If you're looking for some super new and complex story that you've never seen before, this definitely isn't where you're gonna get that. But Jujutsu Kaisen's familiar storytelling is one of its strengths actually, in my opinion, because instead of having to spend 6 episodes explaining the story to the viewer, they could instead spend only 1 or 2 episodes setting up the story and then quickly moving on to whatever else. See, now this is smart, because while this is a plot-driven anime, because the plot is so simple, the author then does not need to take as much time to set up said plot. So this allows them to go more in depth on other things in the show. One of Jujutsu Kaisen's biggest strengths is definitely its characters. They are so full of personality and life. You can tell that the author put in a lot of time and effort into thinking out all of their traits, and I feel like that needs to be appreciated a lot more considering all of the unoriginal, recycled character tropes that we see in anime. So having actual good original entertaining characters is such a fresh breath of air. The main group of characters that we focus on have some of the best chemistry that I've seen in a while. Itadori, Megumi, Nobara, and Gojou all bounce off of each other so well, and their whole group dynamic is amazing. There's no stupid unnecessary love triangle or drama in the group. They're all just friends having fun and supporting each other, and they all act like how real high schoolers would act in our world. Obviously without the crazy superpowers, of course. Something else that I think is worth mentioning is how amazingly well written the female cast are in this anime. You know an anime is good when even the female characters are good. Nobara and Maki have quickly become some of my favorite characters in the show, not because of their looks or cutesy personality.
Damn, what is that, bro?
It's simply because they are just badass. Many anime have tried doing this thing where they have a super quote-unquote cool or strong female character and then try to pass it off as a good character simply because she isn't weak and can defend for herself. But it ends up hurting them in the long run because that basically turns into their whole personality trait, which then leads it to feel very forced and not really well executed. I don't know, I just really like how the girl characters in the show don't solely revolve around them being girl characters, if that makes any sense. It's nice to just see cool female characters in a shonen simply because they're awesome. Some anime do pull it off, but this is one of the very few shonen anime where I've actually thoroughly enjoyed the female cast. Now, you can't have a shonen battle anime without a cool power system, and Jujutsu Kaisen's is pretty cool. It's nowhere near as complex or in-depth as like the Nen system from Hunter x Hunter, but it has its own quirks and charm that differentiates itself from other shonen power systems. Cursed energy is born from negative emotions, such as grief and anger. These negative feelings are common in the human society, so almost everyone possesses cursed energy. If this amount is higher than a certain degree, it grants the person the ability to see curses, which is very rare among the human race. So those who can utilize cursed energy are then able to use abilities and techniques that would rather be impossible for the common person. So yeah, that was obviously a very quick summary of the power system, but that's all you really need to know about it. Different characters use it in different ways, and there are a lot of applications to it. Like my favorite character in the show, Inumaki, uses curse to speech, which is the coolest ability in the show, don't at me. But he literally can tell something to stop moving, and if it hears the command, the target has no choice but to obey the command. Like, how is this not the coolest ability in the show? Please tell me. So yeah, if you couldn't already tell from this video, I really like this show. It's been a really long time since we've gotten an anime like this, and the show just scratched that itch I had for a new battle series. I said this before, but the show just has a certain type of charm to it that I can't quite put my finger on. I have really high hopes for this anime. Is this some new revolutionary anime that's going to change the industry? No, I don't think so. But to say that the show isn't going to heavily influence the next generation of shonen battle anime is a complete understatement. I truly believe that the show has what it takes to become the face of new anime, and hope that the story will be as great as I think it will be. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.